real quick.
We
Hold
are
on.
live. Okay, so Tim, I just wanted to, well, first of all, let me just kind of introduce you. This is Tim Grenier from Credit Solutions of New England, formerly New England Credit Repair. And today we're just going to kind of be talking a little bit about, you obviously help people overcome credit challenges quickly and permanently. And I want to kind of talk a little bit more about that. You can kind of share with the audience how you do it, what types of problems you typically solve. The first thing I was just kind of wanted to have you share, though, is you recently did change the name of the business because you expanded the business. You expanded your service offerings. Can you kind of walk us through that a little bit?
Absolutely. And thank you so much for calling, and thank you for your time, Brad. I'm so grateful to have an opportunity to talk about this, because there's so many good people who are stuck and they're just not sure what to do, who to call, what and how the process works. And about 10 years ago, I uncovered the truth about this industry. And I figured out a way to truly help people quickly, in less than 8 months, help people delete negative items, rebuild credit, and also reestablish businesses. And that's exactly why I changed from New England Credit Repair. So I'm still really, truly New England Credit Repair as a DBA. But I added Credit Solutions of New England, Brad, simply because so many good businesses are out there who are using their personal credit. Like one day I was out at a bank doing a fundraiser, and a gentleman, I was talking to his daughter about her credit and gave her some free pointers. In the meantime, he was kind of in the background rolling his eyes, credit repair, et cetera, et cetera. And as I started talking to him, I asked him, I say, hey, what do you do for work? He goes, well, I own a big HVAC company. I'm like, that's great. That's awesome. I said, hey, out of curiosity, how many trucks do you have? He's like, well, I've got 5. I'm like, that's awesome. But I'll be retiring in 5 years. I'm good. I said, I'm not talking about credit. Did you ever hear about business credit? He's like, well, what's that? I go, well, you have 5 trucks. Why is it you only have 5 trucks? Well, I can't get more trucks. And I'm like, well, okay. Do you know why? He's like, yeah, the bank tells me that I've extended my credit. I can't get more. I'm like, okay, well, if you were aware about business credit, you can actually start shifting your personal guarantees to the business. And by doing so, you're able to make your business basically its own lifeblood with credit. And you can expand and expand and grow. And when you do retire, guess what? You get to sell your business. Mm-hmm. Basically, sell your business without paying off any of the personal debts that you had obligated throughout the years. So I recently had a gentleman who owned a landscaping company. So basically what I do, Brad, I added the ability to help businesses build business credit. That's what the other element. And of course, when you're talking to businesses, yourself, Brad, a lot of businesses, you would never tell someone, say, hey, call my friend who does business credit at New England Credit Repair. He'd be like, what? No, I like credit repair. My credit's fine. I don't need good credit. Right. I'm good. I don't need anything. But by doing Credit Solutions of New England, I really felt I was expanding. And there's other services that I want to get into later on. And I felt that by having Credit Solutions of New England, that'd be a perfect kind of umbrella. And through that, I can have all my different elements. So I apologize. I get so excited talking about this stuff.
Yeah, I know. That's awesome.
Because, it's great because that guy was like, I'd never realized. I'm like, yes, that's the difference between you and the big guys. It's just simple business credit. And we help people overcome it really quickly, just like going back to credit repair. And that's what I'm excited to talk about. I know you have a few questions for me, so I'll let you go.
No, that's good. So I guess, what are the biggest causes of credit problems that you see? You obviously work with a lot of different clients. What are the things that really trip people up and cause issues for people?
It's such a simple answer. It's called life, the real 4-letter word. We get busy. And when things change and things happen, we got to take care of our family. We got to take care of our lives. So there are times when people, especially right now with everything going on, my goodness, it's one of those catastrophes of life that we're not anticipating. And even in the past, people individually have had changes. You know, they got laid off, business closed, or whatever it might be. So obviously, we all know late payments, collection accounts, et cetera, et cetera. But some of the things that people don't think of that really can impact people is like the medical collections. You get a bill saying, do not pay, but your balance is X. Yeah. And you're like, okay, well, the bill says I don't need to pay. So you don't pay because my insurance company will take care of it. All of a sudden, 2-3 years pass by, and you know you're at the dealership or you're applying for a mortgage to refinance with such great low rates right now that all of a sudden it pops up, and it's not just one; it's several of them. So things like that pop up. The other big one that I want people to be conscious of: we're so big right now on getting so much mail. And a lot of times we don't even open our mail because we have everything coming electronically, which is great. Even electronically, we don't open every email. But one of the biggest things I want everybody to realize and remember, you have all these wonderful auto payment systems. Yep. Be aware. Keep looking at your account because a lot of times they'll change it like that without even telling you. Well, they'll tell you, at least they'll tell you they told you. Yeah. You may not have received it. That's the mystery. But the reality comes down that those auto payments can really trip us up. And sometimes they do it on purpose because the industry wants to make money off of us. And the lower our credit scores, the more money they make. The more they can trip us up and turn around and put the responsibility back on us, say, hey, you know, we can't apologize. You didn't see that notification that 2 months ago we made the change of privacy, for example. You know, because of that, we had to reset everything. So I hope that answers one of the questions.
Well, this is a little bit of to piggyback off of something that you said. You said that the industry, and I mean, when you say industry, I assume that you're sort of talking about all industries, but just, you know, overall, the credit reporting side of things is that if someone's credit's a little bit lower, i.e. not 100% perfect.
Yeah, there's like a 570, 580.
There's a lot more money to be made.
Yes, 600,
for a lending institution because the water is muddier. They know that they don't get those top tier rates anymore. So now it's sort of like the Wild West. Well, you get a higher rate. What the rate is, we don't know necessarily. People don't know.
And people are sometimes just happy to get the credit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the other thing. And that's where, you know, bumping up your credit score really does make a big difference. But especially when someone's rebuilding their credit, they just want to get something, you know, so.
Gotcha. What would you say are people's biggest fears when it comes to their first of all, their credit problems, and then also your program specifically?
And thanks for asking. You know, talking about your life for your friends, what you do for work, maybe how much money you made, it's easy to talk about. But when it comes time to credit, we have such pride and we don't really talk to anybody about it. And one of the hardest things is to find somebody you can trust, feel confident in knowing that what you're talking about doesn't go any further, and just kind of someone to lean on. Again, goes back to, you know, life, the real 4-letter word. It happens. It's okay to talk about it. You're not a bad person. Your score does not judge who you really are. It's just like, for example, the FICO system. It's just a number, but there's an algorithm along with it. And I've learned to break the code. And what's different about me is with working with people, it's me, guys. It's me, Brad. And you know me, you've known me for years, and I'm honest, I'm ethical, I'm transparent, and I'll tell you the truth. You may not like what you hear, but it's going to be the truth, and at least it'll help you stop what you're doing, because what you're doing isn't, you know, as they say, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. Like today, I just got off the phone with a gentleman out in England, and he wants to come back to the States. He actually lived in the States for years. And through his moving, he ended up with bad credit. But of course, he's overseas. I don't care. I don't need anything. But now his mom needs him. So now he's going to come back and he wants to build a house. But now he's realized that his credit score is really, really like super low, like 400s low. Well, at least it was 6 months ago. Now he's crept up. Now he's almost in the low 600s, and it's only been 3-4 months. So to come from 480 up to 620 in a matter of a few months is great. And all he has to do is be patient to hang on a little bit longer. But
Wow.
to answer your real question, so what I do differently than other people is 3 simple things. Number one, what I've learned is the quality of the credit report that your credit repair company uses makes all the difference in the world. Most credit repair companies will ask someone to get a free credit report from like annualcreditreport.com or Credit Karma. Well, guys, just so you know, and I know you know this, Brad, the free credit reports only really go back 2 or 3 years. So if your boo-boos, your life negatively happened about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, it doesn't really pop up on your current free credit system. So you kind of get a false sense of security that your credit's really better than it is. Then when you apply for a mortgage, you realize, oh my God, none of that, all that stuff is still there, or I forgot all about that stuff. So also the other reason for not using a free credit report is because by law, in majority of the states, other than Maine, by law, the credit bureaus have 30 days to prove something is accurate when challenged. What happens is that law is so important, but when you get something for free, you actually waive your rights to that law.
Wow.
So when you waive your rights to that law, that means they have an infinite amount of time to look into it. Now, as a credit repair company, I would love that because I just take money out of people's accounts, therefore, but I'm not that guy. I would rather do the job right. So by using some of the credit reports that we offer, or not that we offer, we don't offer them. I just recommend people to use a few credit reporting companies where it's not quote unquote free, some as little as $1. But the key thing is by getting a paid credit report, or even your mortgage loan officer would be kind enough to share. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Generally, they're not supposed to. That's why they lean on me for helping people getting the credit reports. But in any case, what happens is by getting a paid credit report or a high quality credit report, you see everything, and the bureaus truly have 30 days. So that's number one, the most important thing that I do. Number two, most credit repair companies would tell people they fight 3 or 4 items at a time. So let's say a person has 10 negative items, a couple late payments, couple collections from years ago, just things in the past. But it lingers. And the bureaus, they know how to keep that stuff on the credit report just by shifting the dates. So even though they're supposed to go away after 7 years, they really don't, because the bureaus know how to update things. So what happens is with the way they do it, so let's go back to the analogy. If you have 10 negative items, if there's 10 negative items and there's 3 different credit bureaus, how many negative items potentially is that? 30. So if someone tells you they're fighting 3 or 4 items at a time, you just got sucked into like a 2, 3, 4-year program with them without even realizing. Then your frustration. So going back to your original question, what's the fear is how long does this take? Most credit repair companies want you in this for years and years. And number 3, the most important, most credit repair companies do the work representing the person. So they write to the credit bureau, say, we're representing Tim with these 3 items, et cetera, et cetera. But what happens, people don't realize the technology is so advanced. What happens is every piece of image, every piece of mail is imaged. And when it gets scanned into the credit bureaus, it gets pre-sorted. They know who the credit repair companies are because in the top left-hand corner, it says, for example, my company. But other companies, I'm not going to name names, but it says the company. So they automatically know who is hiring who. So they're going to be all over that. So what I've learned to do is I have a team of attorneys and professionals that do the work for us. It's not me, but it's my way of doing this that I've learned that makes a massive difference, which is doing the work as if we're actually the client, with their permission, of course. We don't do anything illegally, but by doing the work as if we're the consumer, by fighting every item, every single time, by using a high quality credit report, we're able to successfully help people quickly overcome credit challenges in less than 8 months. At the same time, we also help people rebuild their credit, shift their habits, because there's a lot of tricks that people aren't aware of simply, it's got to go hand in hand though. You can't just have bruised credit, do the right credit skills and hope and pray that it's going to get better, because usually it doesn't. So I apologize for a lengthy answer, but I'm just excited
No,
to
that's
tell
awesome.
you the truth of what I'm doing, because everyone wants to know, and to write it out in the email, nobody wants to read an email.
Right.
So I really appreciate your willingness to do this with me, because
Yeah.
I want to help people, and people want to be helped, but they want to be helped knowing what's going on. So I invite people to, call me and whatnot. So we'll go into your next question and I'll come back.
Oh, well, I mean, I guess you kind of answered the other one that I had sort of thought of ahead of time, but throw a little bit of a curveball at you here. So I believe I remember you saying the reason you got into this business was that you used to be a mortgage broker, correct?
That's right.
And there were so many people that you couldn't help. And so you kind of had to say, well, come back and see me in 6 months or 12 months, clear up that credit and come back and see me. But there wasn't really anything that you could do, right? Is that kind of how this all sort of transpired, how you shifted?
Yes, yes. It was actually in 2008 when the last recession, we'll call it, when it was crickets in the mortgage industry.
Yeah.
And I was sitting at my desk, and I had a new software program for clients. And
Yeah.
I just happened to click on the tab. You know how you can list people by name,
Yeah.
by address, by town. But for us, it was by loan program, by interest rate, by appraisal, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure.
I learned that I could add the credit score to it as a line item. And when I did that, I was actually on the phone with a client, and I was amazed. I saw people with 480, 500s, 525s, but then when I inverted it, I also saw people the 800s. But then when I started counting how many people had bruised credit that I had already talked to over 10, 15 years of being in business, I was like, wait a second, what am I doing wrong? How can I really help these people? And the advice I was giving wasn't obviously good enough.
Right.
So I started sending people to other credit repair companies. And that's what irritated me, because I figured out their game. Because now these clients were calling me back and they're saying, Tim, why did you send me to this company? I feel like I'm getting scammed. Are you in on this? I'm like, no. So that anger that I had, of course I had time because there's nothing else going on in the mortgage industry.
Right.
So I dove into it and I got certified and licensed for credit repair actually back in 2010. 2009, 2010. I officially started my business in 2011. And obviously I've been growing and helping so many people in the community.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, I'm thrilled to have the opportunity for our company to give you a hand, spreading the word, and you can work pretty much anybody anywhere in the country, right?
That's great. That's
Credit
correct.
Solutions
Yes.
of New England, but that's because you're based in New England, but you can do what you do for somebody even if they live in California, Florida, Washington. It doesn't matter, right?
Florida and even Puerto Rico, believe it or not.
Yeah. Okay. Good to
So
know.
it's great.
That is great. I'm really glad we had an opportunity to chat a little bit more about this. Certainly, you have an amazing service that's helping so many people. And yeah, I mean, if you'd like to come on again, I'd love to chat more with you about the business credit side of things, because as a business owner, that's definitely a big question that I have a lot of times, and I think there's a lot of businesses where they just kind of figure that if they want to do anything, they're always going to have to be a personal guarantor. And that can mess with things in their own personal credit life. So I'm really glad to know that that's an area where you've expanded your business, and maybe definitely a topic for next time we chat. Okay?
Yeah, I'd love to, because you know what? Knowledge is power. Unfortunately, we rely sometimes with just our friends with our knowledge and Google, but it's good to get the real truth and have real true transparency with someone that really wants to help, because that's how I grew up. My parents' small business, they couldn't sell because they, had just bought a crane and they didn't realize they had to pay off the crane before they could sell the business. And the amount of money they were going to net was nothing. So, I mean, well, virtually nothing, but in any case, so thank you so much, Brad. I'm so grateful for everything you do for me and for all of us in the community, and the opportunity for me to feel comfortable speaking about this.
Absolutely.
So thanks again.
We had an opportunity to chat. I'll talk with you soon. Thanks so much.
All right, stay healthy, my friend.
Thanks, you too.